It's Wednesday and it's time for the Contrarians live chat. Our topic tonight, favorite bands with the worst album covers. So we've picked 10 each. We're going to go down. We've got a great panel. Let's get started. We want to hear from you. Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to the Contrarians. It's Wednesday. It's the Contrarians live chat. I'll put Jamie up. He's coming. He's got some audio problems, but
I can't hear you.
He can't hear us. We can hear him.
Keep working on it, Jamie. We're going to get started.
So anyway, we're going to get started. Hopefully Jamie will come in. Actually, this is a great topic. Favorite bands, but the worst album covers. So it's like a twofer. You get to hear our favorite bands, about our favorite bands, and the crappy album covers. I'm going to throw it over to Martin. He could talk about it a little bit more. But tonight I want to welcome, we've got Mr. Ladano here, and of course Martin, Johnny Metal, and Jamie's got issues, but he'll be here. Martin, let's take it away. Yeah,
I kind of like this idea because, the bonus is you get to hear what our 10 favorite bands are in reverse order, which is kind of cool. And, I revisit this every once in a while, maybe a little bit on my podcast, but with Peter or whatever. And we rethink this question and things move around a little. So I'll start with my first three. My 10th favorite band of all time is Clutch. So I went with Transnational Speedway League. It's got the extended title. What is the full title here? Anthems, Anecdotes, and Undeniable Truths. It's just a picture of a, Grant's got it up there, but it's just basically a picture of a hunter's type lamp with a picture of a big elk on it, and with the hoof thing. And that's about it. And the back's really kind of like that as well, and I think Jam Room is not a great album cover either. So, Clutch kind of started off, you could almost loosely put them in the grunge category, a little bit of stoner rock category as well, kind of thing, right? But yeah, I didn't like the original. I love the logo they came up with later on, kind of thing. But just the whole look and the whole kind of silliness and grunge, non-communicativeness of this record, and of course Jam Room as well, not so great. So that's my first one. My second one I went with is Manic Street Preachers. So Manic Street Preachers is Martin's 9th favorite band of all time. And I went with the debut Generation Terrorists, which has a little bit of kind of like a, across the first couple of albums, they were compared a little bit to Guns N' Roses. Guns N' Roses were a big deal at the time. Obviously, they turned out to be a very, very different band than that, but they were most guitar-y and most riffy in the early days. So this just has a little bit of that, squalid, American rock. I mean, we even got a rose tattoo going there. And just for kicks, I pulled out a couple other Manics to show, they have some artsy album covers that I also don't think are particularly great. There's the Greatest Hits album. Then this is a really, really not great album cover, Secret History of. And then this is, I think, some sort of a famous artist, but Manic Street Preachers' Lifeblood. And then my favorite album by them, Everything Must Go, I think is not a great album cover as well. You just got the guys in the middle like that. You got the Everything Must Go with the parentheses around nothing on there. So that is my number 9. And my 8th favorite band of all time is XTC. And they have a lot of good album covers. We're probably going to reprise this show again and do the flip side, but right now we're doing the worst. And I think this is the worst album cover. I think it's just a really kind of a goofy shot. Jamie, are you good now? Yeah, you're hearing us? Can we hear you?
Yep.
All right, we're good. Awesome.
So yeah, I thought White Music is definitely not a good album cover by them. Obviously, the album covers all got much more interesting, even beginning with Go To with all that text on it and stuff. And they were all pretty enigmatic, fairly simple over the years. But this is like, hey, here's just a band shot of us kind of thing. So that is my first 3. Let's see what's going on in the chat here. We've got Hemispheres by Rush, says Justin. We've got Gary Joyce is with us. Vegas Flytrap is with us. XDC, Just Shoot Me in the Head. I think that might mean this is not a fan of XTC.
I don't know. Well,
I'm not sure.
Vegas, you don't like XTC? Is that how we're reading it?
Yeah. With Deep Purple being one of my all-time favorite bands, they have many terrible album covers. I totally agree with that, Jeff. We got Van Halen Balance. Yeah, that was a cover considered in bad taste kind of thing. The two little naked kids fused together, right? New England Walking Wild, says D Rocker. That's a good one. AC/DC Back in Black. More on AC/DC later. Going for the one by Yes. From years of Cool Roger Dean covers arts to Hypnosis Butt covers as Justin. Elders with Us, Striper Soldiers Under Command, Hairspray and Machine Guns don't mix. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, so let's have Van Halen live right here right now from Michael Easter, good one. Deep Purple Turning to Crime, absolutely, and Even Equals One is a pretty bad cover, right? Jethro Tull Zealot Gene is not a good cover. There you go. Over to Grant. Who's next?
Johnny Metal.
All right,
take it away, Johnny.
Okie doke. Well, the 10 bands I've got, I don't know if they're going to be in any particular order per se, but these are definitely 10 of definitely some favorite bands. And I had to think, because there's some bands I'm like, no, there's not a bad album cover to be found in some of these bands. But my first one, this one goes out to my high school crush, from the land of Deutschland, Warlock, in their debut album Burning the Witches. Just with that kooky little magician looking guy there, wizard or whatever that thing is. But Doro, she just would go on to do a lot of very nice looking covers from there. Next one is another debut, but this poor album, man, they had to go through about 3 different covers. I sent Grant 2 of them, and I figure I'll show the one that I actually have.
Okay.
Fate's Warning, Night on Brocken. So that's one of the covers. It just looks like I don't know, maybe a bad high school drawing, maybe. It's a little too advanced for elementary. But then there was another one with the lady on the stake, and that was a little bit better. But then they finally went with the full moon. So I'm like, okay, gotta love that. Next on my on this first go around, let's see. I wonder if Ken White is in the building yet, because he'll probably like this one. So this band was known for doing all kinds of different genres and all kinds of crazy things, and but they came to be a band I would come to really like. But this album, for whatever reason, they decided to go nu metal, which was a big mistake. Yeah, it's Bride with Fistful of Bees. I'm not really sure what the heck that's supposed to be, but it's a blurry cover, whatever it is. But yeah, Fistful of Bees. So there you go. That's my first
and they're one of your top 10 favorite bands of all time.
I like Bride. They are they are a very good band.
Should we assume in the chat that every time someone brings up an album cover, that's their favorite band of all time?
I don't know about that, but
I don't know about that.
Let's see what they say.
But Bride is a band I like. So, but
yeah,
there you go.
Cool, very cool.
Look, it's Todd Evans, ladies and gentlemen.
Todd Evans.
Nice.
Oh, there is.
Good to see. Yeah. So we got Michael Easter with Motley Crue, Generation Swine. We got D Rocker with April Wine, Animal Grace. D Rockers, April Wine, your favorite band of all time?
There's worse covers than that.
Yeah. There's better bands than that too. That was my point.
Than April Wine?
Yeah, I think so. There's a few bands better than April Wine.
Wait a minute. Let me see how I would remove Martin from here. Let me look.
They'd be about 720th on my list, I think. Gravedigger, Heavy Metal Breakdown is god awful.
Jesus.
Ash Bowen, Scorpions, Virgin Killer, both covers, absolutely. Let's see. Grant's the biggest XT fan I know. Well, the only fan actually. No, count me in as well.
Yeah, Martin and I. Come on.
Absolutely. Judas Priest, Nostradamus. All right, on to who's next, Grant?
Jamie's up.
Okay.
Okay. This was hard. Not coming up with the album covers, but coming up with my favorite bands. I haven't sat down and made that kind of list in a long, long time. So I didn't know how to go about it. Do I keep the same list that I made like 15, 20 years ago, or like the newer bands that I like a lot? Do I infuse those into the, I didn't know. So I just went with bands that have been in my life for 40 years and they're not going anywhere and they're in rotation all the time. So number 10, I'm doing Social Distortion. There was a time they were probably in my top 5 in the 90s. I'm putting them at 10 right now. I brought this up before, somewhere between Heaven and Hell. It looks like a cover of a 45 single. Doesn't it?
It does. It
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
does.
and the name of the song would be somewhere between Heaven and Hell with a B-side. Doesn't look like an album cover. So yeah, very cheaply made.
Well, maybe you got a really cool esoteric idea there, Jamie. Like albums that look like 45s.
There you go. Right in that.
Yeah,
Write that down.
absolutely. I like that.
Yeah.
Albums that look like 45s.
Yeah.
All right. This was a surprise when I was making my top 10 favorite bands. Sabbath. I guess they're a top 10 favorite band. I've been listening to them in rotation for 40 plus years. So I guess I got to put them there. A lot of people would pick Sabotage, but I'm going with Heaven and Hell. I'm pulling a Rich Catino, if you guys know what that means. I'm going with Heaven and Hell, which is basically Black Sabbath. I'm going with this album because it just looks like, A, they're trying too hard, and B, it looks like a record company that's not Warner Brothers trying to release a Black Sabbath album. They know nothing about Black Sabbath. They just know that the name Black Sabbath sounds evil, so they go and try to find some evil painting and plaster it on there and go, that's about right. Black Sabbath, scary stuff, right? We got your scary stuff. Yeah, it doesn't cry Sabbath to me.
Yeah.
So,
It doesn't even look like an album cover to me. It looks like it should be like maybe we're selling whiskey in a box
or a cigarette package.
or a cigarette package. It doesn't even look like an album cover.
Yeah.
it's part of a painting, and that's what it looks like. They found an old painting and just
It's
utilized
just
it.
odd.
Yeah, it's very
No
odd.
wonder that didn't sell. Anyway.
And then I'm going with The Cult. Love The Cult. And Born Into This. I brought this. That is the vinyl. That looks a lot better. The CD looks like, where's your slip cover? There is no slip cover. This is it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Nice.
that's bad.
Good one. Good one.
But the other one's not that pure either. So
No, that's
there
not
you
great.
go. All right.
Quick look here. We've got Vegas Flytrap bringing up 7th star. Wow, that cult cover sucks, says Jeff. Let's see. Where was it? Rolling Stones' Dirty Work. Band picture with Miami Vice neon color outfits. Good one there. Amadeo. Let's see. What else we got to say? Yeah, there's 7 star. Beatles Butcher cover. Good commentary on the Sabbath record. April Wine isn't in my top 10, but it might be top 20, says Jeff. Blackfoot Siogo. After such a great run of strikes, Tomcat and Marauder. Good point. Camel Mood Madness. April Wine, Nature of the Beast. Ain't No Rembrandt either. I don't mind that. I don't mind that album cover. I think it's kind of cool. All right, let's move on. I guess to Michael, right?
Well,
Or no?
I was going to
Grant.
go. I'm trying
Grant.
to keep it in order.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to go with, I don't have any of these in a particular order. But one of my all-time favorite bands, heck, I'm going to start out with this because of Martin getting me all worked up. April Wine, one of my all-time favorite bands. In fact, when we were on the damn panel, I'm taking April Wine Harder, Faster with me to my desert island.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Martin. Hurt my
I'm not
feelings.
big on them either.
I love April Wine. We did a whole year's series on April Wine. Freaking
Yeah.
love it.
Yes,
Anyway,
we did.
April Wine, First Glance. The US cover is way superior. You get a nice band shot. The Canadian cover, all the Canadian covers until they got signed to Capitol are crap. There's not one good album cover.
Yeah.
I don't know if they had no budget. Absolutely hideous. But this I don't like. I don't like the font. First Glance is kind of an okay, the way that logo is. But what is this with the people? I don't know. I don't get it. My number 9, I'm going to go with one of my all-time favorite bands, of course, is Styx. But what is this record? What is this cover? What does this look like?
And the logo.
And where's the logo? And look at that Styx font.
Yeah.
God, I might have blank. I can't remember what that album's called at the moment. But Tommy Shaw's on it. I do know that. But see, no one else. Panel, what's the name of this record, real quick? No one knows. See?
Is that the live album, Return to Paradise?
No. See?
Oh, what is that called again?
I've got the CD, but I can't remember what it's called. My brain. Who in the comments? What album is that?
Is that the reunion album with Dennis DeYoung, the studio album then?
I think so.
Well,
Yeah,
Tommy's
I
on
didn't
it.
like that record.
You see,
no
even with
one
the
knows.
letters spread out like that, it's actually makes it hard to read. You start looking at it and go, what? What does that say?
Brave New World. That's
Yeah,
it. Brave
okay.
New World.
Yeah.
It's okay record. It's all right, but not a good cover. Thank you, Raymond. I appreciate it. The brain is a terrible thing. We say we got the olds. Here's another one. I love this band. I don't think anybody else on this panel likes this band, but you know, I'm ready. I love REO Speedwagon. REO Speedwagon 9 Lives. A lot of great rockin' tracks on here, but you could never get away with this album cover today. With these scantily clad women, cat women, pawning over Kevin Cronin and Gary Richrath. I don't know.
Now, you know, I don't pay enough attention to this, but I think, Grant, you could correct me on this. But doesn't this have a pretty heavy song on it called Victim of Your Love? And
No.
April
Well-
1 both have a heavy song called Victim of Your Love?
Well,
I
it's
think
got a
they both-
song called Heavy on Your Love.
Heavy on Your Love. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. I'm getting messed up. And I think April Wine Stand Back has Victim of Your Love or something.
There you go. You're getting it. Yeah. This is probably the heaviest REO album. So
Yeah, I know.
you know, it's great. I like it. You know, I can't help it. It is what it is. All right, that's my 3. So
Okay.
let's throw it over to Mr. Ladonna. Mike, take
Thank
it
you.
away.
You know, the fun thing about this exercise, as Martin said, is we get to list off our top 10 favorite bands. The disadvantage to doing that is that you kind of want to count down to your worst album cover, but it didn't actually work out that way. I think my first pick might be one of the worst album covers. And yes, this is a top 10 favorite band of mine, The Darkness,
Yes.
with an album called Hotcakes. And that's women covered in syrup on top of pancakes. And
It's a good record, though. I love that
it's
record.
a great record. There's a great song in here called She Just a Girl, Eddie. They do an amazing cover of Street Spirit, Fade Out by Radiohead, really heavy. There's some great stuff on this album, but it ain't the syrup. It ain't the syrup.
You know, Mike, that kind of goes hand in hand with 9 Lives, kind of. It's just not in very
Yeah.
good taste. Let's just say
Yeah.
that.
Right. I love pancakes as much as the next guy, but
Or
no.
Ted Nugent Love Grenade.
There you go. This has come up already, but my 9th favorite band, we're going to go with Van Halen and a little album called Balance. And whether it is this version with the conjoined twins, or even just the Japanese version where they took out one of the figures and just left the boy, it's still a really bad album cover. And I think it's a Hugh Syme. And I'm sorry, but I don't think this one passes the muster. It's just bad taste. We'll go with bad taste.
Yeah.
And Grant brought up my 8th favorite band already, which is a band called Styx. But I went with a different album. I went with The Serpent is Rising.
See, I like that cover.
I find it really visually noisy. I find that it lacks a lot of distinction. I don't like the color palette. I don't like the font. I don't like the snake. I don't like anything about it. I don't like anything
badly
about
thrown
it.
together kind of thing, eh?
It does.
Wooden
It really
nickel,
looks like
no
it was
money.
cut. The snake was cut and paste, from a different photograph onto that weirdly. I don't know. It's shaded in some way, that background. But
Yeah, look-
Styx, they've been with me for
Holy crap.
41 years of my life. So
Look who's gracing the presence.
hey,
Looks like we got Mr. Pardo with us. Very
There
cool.
he is. Very nice.
Excellent. Welcome.
Cool.
Let's look at the comments quickly. We've got Styx Cyclorama. We've got ELO cover. I don't like this one with the shoes on the cover. We've got They Only Come Out at Night, Edgar Winter. Yeah, that's a good one, Maury. We've got, but I think that Van Halen
Where
cover is
are
an
you?
Exodus ripoff. Interesting. I never put those two together, William. Nice one. Queen, more on Queen later. Let's see. Those Marillion covers are decidedly bad. Kansas Power. I think Marillion covers got worse later on. I kind of like the illustrated ones from the beginning. Yes, going for the one. We had a mention of that before. Yeah, there's the correction on the Johnny Edgar winner. Robin Char for Earth Below. Yeah, those were all really sort of simple, but kind of cool, kind of trippy, right? Jefferson Starship Modern Times. All right, so my 7th favorite band of all time is Queen. And when Pete and I did a show where we said, well, who's your favorite band of all time if the world ended in 1980? I think I had Queen at number 1. I would have had either Queen, Judas Priest, or Sabbath. That I'm certain of, but I think it might have actually been Queen. But they only make 7th here because the 80s did happen. The world didn't end in 1980. And of course, I went with Queen, The Works. But I don't have a copy of The Works evidently anymore. So I took out Miracle as well, which is a good one. You know, speaking of Van Halen balance, kind of a follow-up to that. But yeah, The Works cover, I never liked that. I never liked how the title doesn't really go with the guys. They were really getting boring with just like sticking the band on the front cover of the game, you know, and here they're doing something a little different. But yeah, I didn't like The Works cover. You know, Queen's kind of an average band when it comes to covers, but they've got some pretty good ones as well. My 6th favorite band of all time, again, they would have been easily top 3 had the world ended in 1980, is Black Sabbath. And I went with Cross Purposes. I think I do have a copy of that here. And as we know, this image was also used for Scorpion's Send Me an Angel single. So it was used twice, but yeah, it's just bad heavy metal illustration. It reminds me of that whole discussion we just had about the Heaven and Hell album, basically. I don't think it really goes with anything. I mean, there's a little bit of a link, I suppose, to the Heaven and Hell album by actual Black Sabbath. And just for kicks, I took out Forbidden, which I think is even goofier and just stupid, not great. And then no one likes the Dehumanizer cover either. So
No.
Sabbath have a lot of bad ones. I almost went with Volume 4, actually. And then I started thinking of the 80s, and it's like, wow, these are actually all even worse. And my number 5, my 5th favorite band of all time is Thin Lizzy. I could almost see these guys being higher on the list because I do love the whole catalog. But yeah, I went with Thunder and Lightning. You know, everybody complains about the fist coming out of the almost like asphalt sort of gravel and the weird, badly cropped in. It's apparently a bass. You can barely tell what it is. You get it again on the back. They thought the image was so good they repeated it on the back. And then just for kicks, I took out this, which is probably objectively even worse.
That's horrible. That is bad.
Such a bad album cover. It looks like a terrible bootleg. 3 guys on the front, 4 guys on the back. Unbelievably, how they came up with this, I have no idea. Same text in white, Bad Army text in red for that. One part of it centered, the other part not. One part in.
Oh,
the picture,
yeah, you're right.
Not. It's all so bad. It's terrible stuff. So there you go. That's my 7, 6, and 5. And over to whoever is next.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, real quick before we go over to Johnny Metal, I want to welcome everybody here tonight. We've got 122 people watching.
Wow.
That's some good numbers.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We do want to hear from you in the chat. Keep them coming. We'll try to get through them. We have a lot of people here, but it's all about talking music, turning you on to stuff, and we do want to hear from you. All right, let's keep going.
Well, Grant, actually, let me look at the chat because a bunch have come in.
Okay, go ahead. We'll do that
Babies
first.
on the Edge from D-Rocker. We got Iron Maiden, Dance of Death, says TMC. Iron Maiden, yeah, Dance of Death. We got 2 votes for that. King Crimson Lizard and In the Wake of Poseidon from Jason. Grand Funk, all the girls in the world beware. I hope, remember, you got to pick one of at least your top 10 favorite bands when you bring up one. So keep trying to do that here. Shades of a Blue Orphanage is a bad one for Lizzie as well. Definitely Pantera Reinventing the Steel is a terrible cover. Absolutely. Legs Diamond, Land of the Guns is D-Rocker. Yeah, that's a terrible cover too. AC/DC Black Eyes. I almost went for that. I got AC/DC coming up a little later. Kill 'Em All by Metallica. Yeah, not a great cover there. It's a good one. Troy. Cross Purposes, great next to Forbidden. Hemispheres, it's cool. It's Martin always says Queen were geniuses in the 70s and mere mortals in the 80s. That's exactly what I keep saying. Exactly, Kyle. Thank you for that. Max Webster, Universal Juveniles. Yeah, that's a terrible cover. I almost put them in my top 10 bands. Sometimes I include them in my top 2 favorite bands of all time, but for some reason, I didn't have them on the list this time. All right, over to Jamie.
Over to Johnny Metal.
Johnny.
Me. All right, so this is probably my only non-metal pick of my favorite bands and artists. I actually didn't get into this artist until about 1998, and then I discovered he had been killed in an auto accident a few months earlier. So I was really sad to hear about this. But this would be his second album. Is a fellow named Rich Mullins with Pictures in the Sky, with this Olin Mills like photo studio with some kind of Photoshop thing going on in the back. So yeah, fun little album there.
You got to be like over 50 to know what Olin Mills is.
Yeah, I guess. Yes. Yeah. Good point. Well, hey, I turned double nickels next week, so I'm there. So anyway, so my next one, this one is a Norwegian band that they did a little bit of, yeah, well, I'm a completist. I like his music. What can I say, Vegas? Anyway, my next band, this one comes out of Norway. They started off kind of as a death metal, thrash metal, black metal, all kinds of different kind of stuff. Then they kind of morphed into more of a melodic emo kind of style by the time this album came out. A band called X-Toll. It's called The Blueprint Dives. Yeah. I love all the albums, but and the cover makes sense, but it's like it's one of my favorite bands. I got to pick something from them. So but a wonderful album. Last album they would do for a little while until our reunion in 2013, 2014. Next up, I was so happy to see Pete and Lair the Alchemist do a countdown show for these guys' top or ranking of the albums. Warlord, Rising Out of the Ashes. Again, I love Warlord, and if I had to pick an album cover that was maybe not my favorite, well, the big symbol kind of takes over the entire picture, so it's that kind of takes away from it, but it's still an awesome album. So there you go.
Awesome.
Nice. Very cool.
All right. Jamie, you're up.
All right. For those who just came, recap: 10, Social Distortion; 9, Black Sabbath; 8, The Cult; 7. And just this past summer, I was listening to this band out on the deck, and I told my wife, God, I've been listening to these guys for 40-some years, one of the first bands I ever listened to, and I never considered them like a top 10 band. If I ever do a list, I got to throw them in there, and that is Van Halen. And I'm going with 3. That is just
hideous.
You can say what you want about all the album covers, but that is just stupid.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
And it's an awful album. The songs are so long, unnecessarily long.
And I have to admit, I always knew that this album was supposed to be hideous, and I've avoided it, and I've never heard it.
Me either.
Wow.
Yeah. They used to do so much with so little, with like 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And these songs are like 6 minutes long, and they do nothing with them. The opposite.
I don't know. Maybe someday if I find it for $1, I might get it, but I don't know. All right.
Pink Floyd. Love Pink Floyd. Been listening to them forever and ever and ever. Obscured by Clouds is a stupid cover, though. Yeah. I don't even know what it is. It's a close-up of someone's sweater. I don't know. It's kind of like this.
Someone running.
It's kind of like that, but nonsensical version of that.
Yeah.
This doesn't make much sense, but it's all right to look at. That's stupid.
Yeah. Terrible.
Well, the one psychedelic, the other one, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And CSN, back in the 80s, I would have said this is my second favorite band of all time, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. We talked about this a lot. You got to go with the Hot Dogs on the Moon.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Not the best album in the world. It's got a few good tracks on it. Haven't We Lost Enough is an awesome Stephen Stills song. Stupid cover.
This album's never talked about it much, but what do you think about the Allies album cover?
It's a live album, and there's live pictures at least. It's okay.
Has that ever been re-released? It's been out of print for years, right?
You mean like on CD?
Yeah.
I own the vinyl. I don't
When's
know.
the last time you've ever seen it, though? Just throwing it out there.
It has one studio track, War Games, on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not 100%.
I mean, if you think about it, there's got to be thousands and thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of catalog albums by big bands that are out of print on CD, right?
Now, yeah.
I mean, really, yeah. I mean, that's an interesting question, eh? What really is in print anymore, right?
Jeff, Allies did come out on CD because it came out as a Target CD back in the day. Back in the day, I know we're on a tangent, but let's talk about it real quick. Back in the day, anybody remember Camelot Music? They used to have laser disc cutouts. They used to have CD cutouts. They were all over. And when you went to the cutout sections, they would have like a crap load of things. They literally had this many Ally CDs back in the day that were cut out. So I don't know who bought that record, but you could buy it all day as a cutout. Now you cannot find it anywhere.
Oh, on eBay.
What?
eBay. I found one on a lot of vinyl, but one, the vinyl's like $8. CD is $70.
Yeah, and it's probably West German Target CD too. Betcha.
Maybe.
And it went out of print, and that was it.
It is.
Yep.
Released as a Target CD and done.
There you go.
Look at you.
Cool.
Well, you know.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
I used to have that years ago, then I sold it. It went for, in the 90s, it was expensive because it was only out for an X amount of time. Anyway,
on cassette back in the day.
that was a tangent. So was that your 3?
Yes.
Okay, I
All
guess.
right, let's take a look at the comments here. We've got Kyle's brought up Uriah Heep, very heavy, very humble. That's kind of a cool album cover. Budgie's debut looks terrible. Absolutely, William. I would agree with that. Muse, Origin of Symmetry, says the Parish. Pile Driver, Metal in Inquisition. Yeah, that's a pretty crazy album cover. Let's see. Never heard of Camelot Music. I saw. Let's see. Journey, Look into the Future. D Rocker. We've got Sex Pistols. Never Mind the Bullets. Yeah, that's a love it or hate it cover, right?
I love it.
Interesting one. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of in the middle. Boston Corporate America. D Rocker. Groggy Pills and Hash, says Vegas Flytrap. Van Halen Lost Their Way on that LP. 10cc Look Here, says Pop Optic. Let's see, is it possible to wipe all of Van Halen's discography? Self-Portrait by Dylan, says Justin. The Rubinos debut, says the Parish. Good stuff. All right, who's next?
I'm up. All right. Once I scroll down, hold on, everybody. Let's see. So my last pick was REO. I'm going to go with a pick. Martin already mentioned it, but I like the works compared to this cover. I think this cover is absolutely hideous, but I think Todd Evans may like this. I don't know. We've talked about this on some show, but I have to go with Queen the Miracle. What the hell is going on here?
Yeah,
and I think this album's horrible as well. I don't,
yeah.
Mere mortals, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
How the mighty has fallen by this point.
Absolutely.
So horrible, horrible. All right. No one chose this next record. Now, I love the album, but there's something about this cover, and no one ever brings it up. But it just this album cover to me looks like no one tried. They just threw it out. Rush, All the World's a Stage.
Yeah.
But look how they did it. Why didn't we just take that whole stage, put it across the whole album cover, put a freaking nice, keep the Rush logo like that. Heck, don't even put anything on it.
Yeah.
Just put the stage shot. Look, they have a stupid, horrible Rush, All the World's a Stage is a horrible font. It doesn't say rock and roll to me. It just looks like this was thrown together and they went, all right, let's put an okay stamp on it and just go.
Yeah.
I never cared for this cover. I just thought it was just horrible. All right. And of course, Rush is one of my all-time favorite bands. And of course, like I said, Queen, I love Queen up to a certain point. So, but all that old Queen stuff prior to the game, God, I love it all. Another band I like, and I've always said this before because I love power pop, but the Knack is one of my favorite bands, though they haven't put out much record. records, but their final album, this is the album cover. I know I brought this up before,
Yeah.
but holy crap. What the
It's
hell?
90s-ish.
Well, it would
Something.
It's very
It's
Smashing
bad.
Pumpkins.
It kind of, but it doesn't sound anything like that.
Right.
Horrible. I just think it's absolutely hideous.
He's maybe got another show there. Blurry album covers.
God, better write that down. Blurry.
In fact, I have one coming up shortly.
Okay. So anyway, that's my 3. All right, let's throw it over to Mr. Ladano. Mike, you're up.
Okay, well, this is an artist that had a long-spanning history long before I discovered him in 1986. Saw him on TV news one night. He was having a big comeback. And I easily could have picked the 1986 album by Alice Cooper, Constrictor, because it's so low budget and shoddy looking. But I went with the creepier Raise Your Fist and Yell, because that's very Sam Raimi. That's very Evil Dead. You know, the part where the eyeball pops out of his shoulder. Yeah, it gave me nightmares when I saw it on the Evil Dead, and it gives me nightmares when I see it here. I get it. You know, raise your fist and yell. I get it. That's a very convenient way to do that, but I don't like it at all. And it also kind of looks like he's breaking through some glass or something, and that would hurt his eyes. I don't like it.
What's your thoughts on the Alice Cooper logo? I think that's pretty cool.
I loved
right?
that 80s Alice Cooper logo, though.
Yeah,
I
like
did.
that.
I don't like, it's harder to see, but I don't like the font for Raise Your Fist and Yell, the way it kind of changes at the end there to,
Yeah, I don't like
you know
that
what I mean?
either.
I don't like that.
And
Should've
the
just-
palm looks too long and the fingers too short, out of proportion.
Oh, yeah, like nobody makes a fist like this.
Yeah, it's like some
Yeah.
weird fist.
Yeah. Weird Fist would be another good
Oh,
name
it
for
is
the album.
weird. Oh, that is bad.
Yeah. And
Oh.
another thing is he'd poke his own eyes out if he punched somebody like that, you know? Like, it's just a bad design. Nobody
Yeah.
thought that through.
Holy crap. We had 60 some comments that have accumulated.
Wow.
We'll get to you guys in the comments real soon. So hang tight.
I shuffled the order of some of these bands in the middle here just because I wanted to put 2 albums together. So the first one I'm going to show you is a Japanese import of Def Leppard's Euphoria. Now, if any album cover ever said, "Who gives a crap?" It's this. Let's make it blue. Let's put some lights on it so that it looks like kind of like a Pyromania, Adrenalized Hysteria continuity. But we don't have a lot of time. We don't have a lot of money. So just print something off the computer real
It's
quick.
horrible.
Send it off to the boring font. Like Hysteria and Pyromania, they had cool fonts. Garbage. And even worse. What is this abomination? The silky shirts,
Whoa.
the new hair. Look at Rick Savage. Like he look at that suit.
He's
Like
cool.
it's shinier than my dad's suit that he had in the 70s. It's garbage. Utter garbage.
Maybe he got it from your dad.
It's very
They
possible.
probably went to Goodwill and got that.
Went somewhere. That had a bonus track on it, by the way. I Am Your Child, for those who missed it. That's the Japanese version.
They look
Album
like,
cover's the same, though. Here's another Japanese CD, and it kind of strikes me as similar in presentation. Judas Priest, Demolition. Both of these would work very well, by the way, with our minimalist show that we did a couple of months ago.
That's horrible.
Yes, it is. This is done by Mark Wilkinson's company. That's Mark Wilkinson's, I think it's L Space Design, did this album cover. What the heck? We talked about Marillion earlier. That's all Mark Wilkinson. He does paintings. You know, this is garbage, utter garbage. It looks like it's a bullet hole in some kind of plate glass. The Demolition logo is really cheesy. Looks like it was spat out of a computer. I hated the new Judas Priest logo they were
that's
using during
hideous.
the Ripper years. I hated the new cross that they were using during the Ripper years.
It's just bad.
I
hate the
will
music they
refrain
did
from.
during the Ripper years.
Sorry, what's that, Jamie?
I hate the music they were doing during.
I was just gonna say I'm gonna refrain talking about the music. I like a few tracks, and the bonus track on this one is called "What's My Name." So that's my next 3.
Nice. Okay, well, let's catch up with the comments here a little bit. We got Bush called Heaven Forbid from D Rocker. White Lines Pride, great album, but that cover art is terrible, says Angels Vinyl Planet. We've got Hanging in the Balance. Yes, Metal Church. And that's a really good album too. I cannot believe how cool that album is. And it's got that bizarre album cover. Yeah, famous, weird album cover. Euphoria equals Euboreus is the elder. Let's see. Girly Grip, as the Terminator would say. Richard Thompson. Henry the Human Fly, says Malcolm. Let's see. See Heaven Forbid again. Fistful of Metal. Yeah, Fistful of Metal is another terrible one. Boomtown Rats debut is pretty darn funny. Yeah, that's got kind of a goat's head suit vibe to that one, right? That Alice Cooper is better than Anthrax debut. Fistful of Metal. Flotsam and Jetsam. The End of Chaos, says Matt K. There's another mention for the Boomtown Rats. Rory Gallagher. Wheels Within Wheels. I don't even know that album. Wow. Anthrax Volume 8. Yeah, good one, Elder. Not a great album cover, but Little Girls Understand is a creepy Knack cover. And yeah, weird. Like, I don't like the colors on it or anything. Black and white with, I think it's pink, right? John Lennon, Yoko Ono, Two Virgins. Basically, any album cover, says Matt K. Deep Purple, says Hold My Beer. Yeah. Deep Purple has a lot of not great ones, that's for sure. Testament the Gathering, original cover. Fleetwood Mac, Tusk, worst album cover of theirs. They have mostly bad album covers, I think, right? Remember, what is it? Heroes Are Hard to Find, I think it's called. Pat Travers, I think we're back to where roughly we were back there. Blondie the Hunter. All right, who's next?
You.
Hi, okay, me. Okay, so my final four, my fourth favorite band of all time is ZZ Top. And I'm going to go with Tres Hombres. Not a great cover with that green. And this is in the tradition of the first two album covers by theirs, which are there. Well, there's the famous gatefold of the Mexican dinner there. But yeah, this is in the tradition of ZZ Top's first album and Rio Grande Mud, which are both crap as well. The brown period, I call them. And then after this, the covers actually got pretty good. They had a lot of really good covers later on. XXX is not a great cover, but yeah, there's a lot of classics. I love Tejas. I love DeGueyo's cover and the whole Eliminator car thing. I like all that series of covers. But yeah, this is very, very old looking. It looks like a country album.
It does,
doesn't it? Yeah. My third favorite band of all time is Blue Oyster Cult. At least today it is. And I went with The Symbol Remains, which is just, again, it looks very way too modern, thrown together. It looks a little AI. I don't like when they make the symbol that obvious with the, whatever cracking away there. I just don't think it's a good album cover. It's just too almost heavy metalish looking. I've got some other not great ones.
Better?
What's that?
Heaven Forbid is a better cover.
Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of wanted to make the point that this looks very synthetic in Walmart more than anything, right? It just looks like they didn't have a good idea to go with Symbol Remains. And this is a band who has the best ideas ever for everything, right? My second favorite band of all time is The Damned. And I went with Machine Gun Etiquette. They also have a lot of great album covers. And this is just horrible. It looks like a crappy hardcore punk album. Oh, it looks like a punky hardcore punk compilation album. It's just, when they famously went to New York City and walked around, you got the crappy blue Damned logo there, and you got the red down below, stylized, and then the back is even more of a hodgepodge. Very, very much looks like a hardcore album. It's one of their better albums. It's often rated the best Damned album of all time. I think it's a really good one. It's close for me. And then my favorite band of all time, I know it's a boring choice. I don't even know if I believe this really. But AC/DC, possibly my favorite band. Probably not, I'm looking at this list. I don't know. I'd jumble it around. I'd move Thin Lizzy up. I like The Damned real high. Blue Oyster Cult's got to be high there as well. Like I say, problems with Black Sabbath and Queen. I don't know. Anyways, this is a band I definitely like a lot. It could go in our Blurry Shots show. Terrible, terrible album covers from this band, period. But this one's always annoyed me because it looks too much like Who Made Who, and the title is ridiculous, Blow Up Your Video. And it's just a bad rendition of Angus. AC/DC with that the white slash through it looks terrible. Yeah, just not a great album cover. So that is apparently Martin's favorite band of all time. But maybe like I say, I don't even believe it. So, but there you go. ZZ Top, Lures to Cult, The Damned, and AC/DC. So look over to the comments here. Scorpions Eye to Eye, says the Elder. Yeah, it's a bad one. Porcupine Tree and Absentia. Yeah, that's a pretty ghoulish sort of album. Yeah. Angve Fire and Ice. Definitely a terrible one. Ted Nugent Free For All. I always kind of like Free For All cover. It's weird. It's fresh. It's different. Wishbone Ash, The Power of Eternity. Guns N' Roses Lies. Yeah, it's not a great album cover. Cars Door to Door. Terrible cover there. The Damned, Kate Dell's Greatest Hits. Totally looks like that. You're right. Rush, Clockwork Angels. Yeah, I don't like that album cover. Never really did. Golden Earring, Grab It for a Second. Yeah, that's a weird one. I love that album to death, though. That's a really cool album by Golden Earring. All right, who's next?
That would be me,
Johnny Metal.
Okay.
All right, now these four would be about right for the order. So let's. I saw this one in the comments earlier, so let's just get out the athletic rock, shall we?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, Raven. I love Raven to death, but and I know a lot of people kind of crap on this album, and I don't know. There's some songs I've kind of gotten has aged better than I thought. So I don't mind this album quite so bad. But yeah, that cover. Yeah, that one's a toughie. All right, next one. Next one, we go down to The Land Down Under. And this is going to tie in with my Mortification Monday series that I've been doing. Band called Mortification, and this album here called Erasing the Goblin. Now this one also suffers from multiple covers. So you have this one with this scary looking goblin thingy or whatever that's supposed to be, and then you have this album, this cover, same album. But this time you get the whole picture. So this is a little bit better than just seeing this poor scared goblin getting impaled here. But anyway, now this one this next one I am probably going to get a lot of hate for. I saw Led Zeppelin get a couple of nods in the comments, but I don't think y'all are going to expect me to say the second album. So. While I love this album to death, it usually flip-flops between this and 4 is my favorite album of all time by Zeppelin. If I had to pick a cover, I didn't want to include Coda because to me Coda is just a compilation, so I don't really count that per se. But I don't know. Anyway, and then if anybody has any guess as to what my favorite band is, God knows I did a series on them to start with my whole thing with John the Music Nut. So and for all of those, go subscribe to his channel, will you? But yeah, Inside the Electric Circus.
Bad.
Yeah, sorry, Blackie, love you, brother, but I don't need to see all body painted up. But
is it really painted up, or is it like a spandex?
No, I heard it's all body paint. I want to say I want to say I heard Gore Vidal had something to do with it. I don't know, but
can you imagine that session for them shaving him down before they painted him?
Jamie, please take over. Yeah. Go.
The lighting in that always looked kind of like a soap opera to me. It looks very like Monday afternoon at 3:00. You turn your TV on, you hit a soap opera, and you almost fall asleep. Right? It's kind of got that look to it. It's kind of depressing.
I feel like he's posing in front of one of those electric fireplaces.
Oh yeah.
But what is it? Is that painted? Are those poles painted? Or
that I don't know. I don't know if it's supposed to be a cage. So I don't know if that cage is like an electric cage maybe in front of the fireplace. But yeah.
He could get through those poles, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I just threw up in my mouth a little. Yeah, well.
Blacky.
I don't know what the hell's going on here, but
he should reenact that now that he's about 68 years old.
Yeah. I hated that cover. It looked like Blackie was trying to seduce me.
Hey, good one.
Oh boy.
He looks like it though, doesn't it? Oh,
Oh, we've got a mention for Seance by the Church. That is a creepy cover.
I like that album. I like that cover.
Yeah, me
And
too. I like the
Remote
cover.
Luxury, which is kind of like the companion cover to that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool too. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, who's next?
Mr.
4.
Laszlo.
All right, in 1987, and I have original pressing here. Soundgarden did what the hell's the name of the album?
I know I had brain
Screaming
fart.
Life. Is this Screaming Life, right? It's a live EP.
Yeah.
Well, the one, okay. I thought you mentioned
Or
this.
live
though.
EP. It's
Well,
an
hold
EP.
on, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then a couple years later, they released Louder Than Love, and you're like, is this another live EP? No, this is a full studio album. It sure looks like another live EP, though, doesn't it?
It wasn't a live EP, Jamie. I think it's all studio tracks, right?
What, this?
Yeah,
That's
no,
that's
the
a
Screaming Light.
album.
Oh,
I don't think
Screaming
it's
Life.
live.
Is that this isn't a live album?
No, it's just an EP.
Oh, yeah, it is an EP. What am I thinking?
Yeah.
The brain's a terrible thing.
Maybe they're not my fourth favorite band. Yeah, this isn't a live EP, but it looks like a live EP, and so does this look like a live EP. And they combined this with Fop, Screaming Life Fop, and that was like on CD. Yeah, so that's a studio album, but they both look like live EPs, but a studio EP. All right, enough of that.
There's Ken. Ken's here finally.
Nice.
There he is. Thanks, Ken, for coming.
Iron Maiden, Book of Souls. Some people would go with Dance of Death. That's a DVD and 5.1 surround sound. But I'm going with this boring one because there's no reason to have all that darkness behind Eddie. You could have put something there. You could have had Eddie in a cool pose. He's just standing there with arms down close up with darkness.
And it looks a little bit like Axl Rose with the cornrows, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes, it does. It's
I've
horrible.
personally never liked Eddie with the red eyes. I prefer the lightning eyes every time.
Oh, yeah.
No, I prefer Eddie to
Cover, though.
be body painted in stripes.
Yeah. All right, who's next, Jamie?
And my number 2 band, they've been climbing up the list, and this year they made it to number 2, Pearl Jam.
Ooh.
It was just comfort food to me, and Lightning Bolt is not a good cover. Very boring, very plain. My least favorite album by them as well. And number 1 is Pat Benatar, and this album, the production's forced, the lyrics are forced, the melodies are a bit forced, and the cover comes off as a bit forced as well. Maybe I wouldn't dislike the cover as much, and then you got her screaming the songs there to Neil. Maybe if it was a better album, I wouldn't mind it, but it all just feels forced. Everything.
Yeah.
So the album's called G.
Go.
Go.
It's called Go. Yeah, her last album, 2020.
John. What year was that again?
2002?
Oh, really? That was the last one.
2003. Or no, 2. Yeah. It's been that long since her
Wow.
last album.
Let's take a quick look at the comments streaming in. We've got Daryl's brought up Kansas Drastic Measures. We've got Spinal Trap, Smell the Glove from Dennis. Let's see. The band Moondog Matinee. That's a good one, Malcolm. Scorpions Virgin Killer. Ouch. Yeah, we had a mention earlier for both covers. And Max Webster, Universal Juveniles, we've had mention for. Kiss Hot in the Shade. Actually, excellent one, Ashley. UFO Misdemeanor. Yeah, terrible cover there.
Yeah.
And the Elder, what do you think of the Senjutsu album cover? I think that's pretty good. It's a pretty good one. Maury brings up Discharge, Grave New World, the cover and the music. UFO Wild Willing and the Innocent. Yeah, there's another one for a blurry show, damn it. Let's see. I love that Church Seance album and cover art. Says Warp Swede. Priest equals Aura is their bad album cover. Yeah, they've got some bad album covers, actually, unfortunately. Manowar, Warriors of the World, the faceless Conan guy has a belt that might be a bird head, but instead looks like he has a tiny ... The Lowest of the Fruit, Paranoid, Steely Dan, Countdown to Ecstasy. Yeah, Kiss music from the Elder. Yeah, it's not a great one, except Balls to the Wall, Genesis, and then there were 3. There's another blurry one. So there we go. So who's next?
Me.
Okay.
All right, let's wind my picks up once I scroll down to the bottom. Okay, here we go. I did Oreo, we did Rush, Knack. Okay. Everybody knows that I love Matthew Sweet. He recently suffered a stroke, and I haven't heard anything more about it.
I didn't know
But
that.
this is like his last record that came out, Cat Spa, that came out like a couple years ago. I just think it's horrible because it looks like someone just bought like some artwork, bought a photo from something, slapped Matthew Sweet's name on it. I just don't think it's very good. Of course, ever since he got off of the major labels, his covers have been questionable. And that happens with a lot of these bands. They don't have the art department at their disposal anymore. And it happens to the best. But I just don't think that's a good cover. Now, and we all know, and again, I didn't rank these, but we know the Beatles are my favorite band, but they do have a bad cover, and you have to blame Parlophone or EMI for this. But 1966, they put out a collection of Beatles oldies. Now, yeah, I know it's a greatest hits, but they weren't that old then. They were started having hits in 62, but come on, what up? You wouldn't even know that's a Beatles record.
I've never seen it.
There you go. Well, it never got released here. It was just in the UK. So, yeah, not good. No, and you flip it around, it's got a picture of the Beatles wearing kimonos and stuff when they were on their 66 tour of Japan. I mean, it's fine. All right. My number 2, and we know I love the Cars, but I do not love this album cover. This is David Robinson's work. Usually he does all the Cars album covers, and I think that they're okay. But Move Like This, not good. I don't, Cars logo's okay. It looks like the Cars logo if they have a logo, I guess. But you don't see the band. I just, it's not that great of a record. It's okay. There's no guitar solos on it, which is odd. And if you have a Cars album with Elliot Easton, you put damn guitar solos on it. But evidently, Rick Ocasek didn't want any guitar solos on it. Weird. All right. This one, I do love Black Sabbath. That would be my number 1 metal band. There is one. No one mentioned this cover, but I'm going to mention it because it looks like, let me put it like this. Do you remember when they had that situation where there was a record company? Was it their manager that licensed the catalog to Castle or some of those other British? I can't remember. But you remember how all the artwork for those looked kind of crappy?
Oh, I think I know where you're going.
This album came out on IRS. I don't have a problem with the record, but I have a problem with the cover. It just looks, the logo's not very good. It just looks really cheap to me.
Yeah.
It looks like that company Castle, or I can't remember that other company that was putting out that Black Sabbath stuff. You go through the used bins, they'll still pop up from time to time. But I just don't think they didn't even try.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
It's the best Tony Martin album, though.
I'm not saying anything bad about the music or the song. I'm just saying I could see why this didn't sell. Yeah. I just don't think it's very good. So that's my final pick.
Okay. Who's next?
Mike.
So
You already went.
No,
Mike's stuff. Okay. Sorry.
So now that we're at the nitty gritty, including the Judas Priest from my last round, this really is basically my top 5 bands of all time. And I didn't pick this album cover because I hate it. I picked it because Ian Gillan hates it. He was once quoted as saying that he saw the album and threw up, which I think that might be a little bit of hyperbole on his part, but I was catching some flack earlier today from Peter Kerr. It's not me that hates this album cover. It's Ian Gillan and my sister, who absolutely refused to look at that album cover. When we were kids, she would like cover her eyes. If I would do that thing where it's like, hey, look. And she would be like, So, there's a couple of reasons.
I used that for this thumbnail, and we got a lot of comments about it. We got more positive comments about this cover than negative. Everybody seems to like it. I don't like it at all, but
it's effective. It grabs your attention. It's
Right.
bright. So there you go. I guess then my third favorite band of all time would be Deep Purple. And again, I didn't necessarily pick this album cover because I think it's their worst, but this always seems to come up in conversations as among their worst.
Yeah.
I'm kind of just fascinated. I want to know the story behind all these bananas. So, you know, I don't actually hate this as much as other album covers. I think they've done worse. I might point out Book of Taliesin as one that I like less because I find it really visually noisy, but that's a whole other conversation.
It looks like someone just went online to one of those photo agency places, bought a photo, and put it on the cover, just like the Matthew Sweet.
Yeah, somebody was there. I can't remember the story.
think?
They happened to be there, and they saw this, and they took a picture of it. They thought it was funny, these guys transporting all these bananas.
I don't know.
Okay.
I just don't think I want to buy those bananas that guys are sitting on in case they pass gas.
Good point there, Johnny Metal. And
Always
lastly,
thinking.
I just want to draw attention to the two fonts. Don't like that one. Yeah. And
Bad,
I don't
horrible.
really like that one either.
No.
Yeah.
So I guess my second favorite band of all time is the aforementioned Iron Maiden. And I had to go, I think this is unequivocal. I think this is by far their worst album cover.
Yeah.
It's all done on a computer. If you look really closely at the baby on top of the wolf, his feet are embedded into the wolf. That's how bad the artwork is. You know, it's terrible.
What year was that?
2003.
Okay.
When this came out, I was flabbergasted. I was utterly shocked that Iron Maiden put out an album that looked this bad. A band that had been the high watermark for much of my life for what are they going to do next? Something cool. And I thought the previous album, Brave New World, actually did look pretty cool. But this is not. This is less said the better.
Yeah.
And finally, everybody knows my number one favorite band of all time is Kiss, but I did not go with Hot in the Shade as Ashley wanted me to. I went with Animalize because that to me is just a who cares. It looks like samples from my former co-host's wardrobe. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Like, what is this? Is this like, are they marketing clothing to cougars? Is that what they're doing? I don't know. And I think this back cover has been shown recently as well. It's also not good. That River of Fire that I think Gene and Eric are both straddling this river of fire, even though there's a perfectly functional bridge over it. I just hate it. That whole post-apocalyptic thing was really big in the early 80s, you know, Mad Max, the Terminator, all that stuff. And every rock band pretty much adopted that style of ripped clothing because that's all that they had left, just the rags that Mad Max was wearing in the wasteland, you know.
Bad.
It wasn't good, but seriously, that front cover is just like anybody could have put that together. That could be a Duran Duran album cover right there, you know?
Yeah.
Well, Duran album never put out an album cover like that.
No.
That bad.
No. Having said that, I do like the Animalize logo itself, but I don't like the coloring of the Kiss logo.
Yeah.
William Walker, thanks for the donation.
Thank you very much. Very
Appreciate
nice
it.
of you. Yeah.
Thank you, William Walker.
Excellent. So is that everybody?
That's it.
All right. Let's just take a final quick look at the comments. We've got The Who, It's Hard, says Gerald. It's a good choice. The Who has some pretty crappy album covers, definitely. Free Heartbreaker, Bobby Gaylor, QR2 wasn't much better. Let's see. Era from Derek Riggs to That, says Joe. Aerosmith debut album is pretty silly too. I'd agree with that. Let's see. Annihilator, Criteria for a Black Widow, bad album cover. Let's see. We got Deep Purple got weird after Recchia left because they lost their secret sauce, Recchia. Let's see. Born Again triggers so many people, which has always made me love it. Page and Plant walking into Clarksdale. I really like that album though, Malcolm. I really think that's a cool album. Let's see. Black Sabbath looks like the It's Alive Baby. Aerosmith done with mirrors, says the elder. Yeah, definitely true. Not a great cover. And then there were Three is a great cover. So a bit of pushback there. Celtic Frost, Cold Lake, absolutely. Cross Purposes is the best Tony Cat Martin album. Yeah, I kind of go with Eternal Idol on that. And then you hear a lot of Headless Cross as well. Castle Communications, says Ashley. Yeah, that's NEMS. That's Patrick Meehan Jr. and Senior. That whole rigmarole went on there. Riot Fire Down Under, says William. Anything from the Cure is pretty ugly. That's a good idea as well. Chinese Democracy. Slayer World Painted Blood, says TMC. Toto Hydra. Yeah, we've had a lot of great comments, and it was a big crowd. So thank you all for coming. This has been excellent. You definitely add to the show every week. But Grant, take it away and wrap it up.
All right. So I want to thank everybody. I want to thank the panel tonight. We got Michael Ladonna, of course, Martin and myself, Johnny Metal, and Jamie Laszlo. So if you'd like to be on this show, we'd love to have you. We have a Ko-fi. Buy us a pint or a cup of coffee. Patreon. We have a Patreon. Always nice. A lot of communication on there. A lot of the shows come out there early. You can always see those early. We also like donations. Thank you, William Walker, for the donation tonight. We love it.
Yep.
We're just here talking music. Hopefully we've turned you onto some of these albums tonight. Next week, I guess, did we decide what we're doing next week? One of these.
Yeah,
we
we
were
were
discussing
discussing weird topic.
Albums
We're
that
gonna
look
wait
like
to
the
see how it goes.
45. We'll wait. We've got a lot of great ideas.
Yeah.
Also, I want to say this. Anybody in the comments, if you do have an idea for a show, leave it in the comment and maybe we can do it. So, we're a community here. We want to hear from you.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Have a good rest of the week. We'll be back here on Wednesday. And what's next on the Contrarians? I don't know. I got things to edit. So stay tuned. We'll have more. All right, everybody. We'll see you. Have a good one.